welcome to your mid-November astrology and tarot reading. This is the space between the new moon in Scorpio that was on the 15th of November and the lunar eclipse in Gemini, which is on the 30th. A 15-day point where you start to see just how far you've come emotionally this year. Since May, you've been pulled in quite a bit into your feelings, and some things back then felt absolutely impossible to continue, and yet there were new beginnings. And one of the ways you're having a new beginning is in your most private nature, the part of you that only your closest friends, your closest family, your most intimate relationships actually see. And the eclipse happening there for you, Pisces, is setting you free from these predispositions, from these feelings of, well, this is how it's always been, so this is how it always will be. No. Things have changed, things have shifted. You've done a lot of inner work. You have worked through some depression, 8 of Cups, some fear of change, some fear of leaving the thoughts and attitudes that have covered you like an old ragged blanket since you were a child. The things that you have felt made you more resilient, but actually have just shielded you from the things that you actually really wanted. Knight of Cups and the 9 of Cups probably shielded you from love. Proposals, romantic wishes, probably shielded you from these things. But this eclipse is your turning point. This eclipse is where you understand yourself better, where you understand how you feel, where you're coming from, why you're coming from that place. And that knowledge, that understanding is enough to eclipse out the old way of doing it. The eclipse itself is ruled by Mercury. And so Mercury is in Scorpio, a fellow water sign energy for you that's really very compatible. The Vortex, the 9 of Wands, the 7 of Wands, the 7 of Pentacles, and the Queen of Pentacles. Underneath, we have the 6 of Pentacles, so we have a lot of Pentacle and Wand energy here. And what does it all mean? Well, I don't really leave things on court card outcomes because it's too vague. So I'm going to clarify the Queen, 9 of Swords, the High Priest, and the 10 of Cups. Wisdom and completion side by side together as words do not surprise me for you. You've learned a lot. You have endured a lot of emotional toxicity that, whether you like it or not, was soaked up in you from the people that have crossed you in life who have been that way, because as you know, you're a bit of a sponge, and sometimes a sponge needs wringing out. And the eclipse is kind of that moment where you rinse out all the old ways of feeling, all the other stuff that is not yours to carry. And it's confusing because Saturn here, the Vortex, which is the devil in the traditional tarot, your toxicity, your flailing around in the water with no real direction, your murky waters, as Neptune goes direct, you're going to start to feel a little bit like everything makes more sense. But it's not before it asks you, do you want a 10 of Cups moment, or are you happy to stay in the devil moment? The difference is the devil moments are where you feel completely placated by your addictions, by your addiction to love, by your addiction to shopping, by your addiction to recreational drugs or alcohol. Whatever that is, it is an addictive vice for you that you've been put up against for a long time. And for some of you, it can be more like mental health concerns, where you've been battling these feelings, you've been battling this desire to self-destruct or sabotage or going under. Because with the Seven of Wands here, I can tell that you've been fighting it quite well. Even if you feel like you haven't, you have been trying, and that's important. Although, as Yoda would say, do or do not, there is no try. So you're doing it. Seven of Pentacles in the challenge, though, you don't see your own potential. You don't see your own ability to get the thing that you want or have the thing that you want, or you're not necessarily seeing the potential in a particular situation with somebody else. With the High Priest and the Ten of Cups here, for a lot of Pisces, despite how it may feel, especially if you're a later degree Pisces, you'll find that as Jupiter shifts out of Capricorn, it will leave you with a gift, if it hasn't already, of a long-term relationship because of the aspect Jupiter has made to your 7th house. And so you'll find, Pisces, that a lot of you, despite the anxiety and despite the self-worth issues, if you're completely single or you're dating and looking for something real, I think for a lot of you that comes to you, but it requires you to shift your focus, because the anxiety card is stuck in the middle like a sword in a stone, and you just have to have the courage to pull it out. And the thing about it is, Pisces, with the sword and the stone, it can't come out until it's meant to. Now it's meant to. Now the Gemini energy is really wrapping you up in this power that you have to take out that sword that has been preventing your healing. And now you can. And on the other side of that is wisdom and completion, the Ten of Cups and the High Priest, which is the Hierophant. But that being said, what you have to access first is kindness. And it's not necessarily this, I'm telling you to go out and, be extending it to everyone else, because I feel like you're better at that. You're very compassionate, you're very good listeners, and I think being a good listener is probably one of the best attributes a person can have in terms of kindness, because you're extending your mind and your heart to hold space for what that person's saying. That's incredibly kind. But what about that kindness to you? For a lot of you, there is a Taurus, Sun, Moon, or Rising, who loves you very much, who really wants to take you past the anxiety. For some of you, it's a Capricorn. But for most of you, it is somebody in the embodiment of a Pentacles person, someone who's very methodical, very practical, very logical. And that's why they love you, because without you, they don't have that access to the spiritual, to the otherworldliness, to the meaning of life, where you attach your meanings. And yes, it may be an earth sign for some of you, Capricorn, Virgo, Taurus, but for most Pisceans, I think this Queen of Pentacles is also you extending that kindness to yourself, especially when it comes to your potential to have your dream career. And what's underneath the Six of Pentacles? Generosity. Again, maybe extend that generosity to yourself. I really like your cards, because I think that they're in the middle of this with the Nine of Wands, is this defensiveness, is this drive to keep going, but also this drive to not keep people out, this drive to set up boundaries, to protect yourself, but also not to isolate yourself. And I know that that feels confusing, and that is the complete antithesis of a Pisces personality, where you are two fish, one longing for separateness and one longing for connection. And so, Pisces, one of the things that you don't realize about yourself is that deep down in your waters, there is a fear of connection. There's a longing for it. Don't get me wrong, there's a really strong longing, but there's also a fear. And that is what I see with this card. The two mermaids sucked into the vortex in the water. If they connect, they might be stronger to get out, but if they connect, they might also be quicker to be sucked in. But that's a risk that has to be taken by both fish, right? I think a lot of you choose connection despite the fear of it. Because to be honest, when I see an eclipse in Gemini for you, I think about it in terms of family, and to a Piscean, that covers love. That is the ultimate merging, really. To live with someone, to have children with somebody, all of those things. And for many of you, it's just as simple as understanding that certain things feel very triggering, very scary. And perhaps that 10 of Cups represents a move. It represents committing to a lease, to a mortgage, to a new home, to the next step in a relationship. And yeah, that's scary stuff, especially for a Pisces. And again, you might question that. But if you think about it, how often have you fallen for somebody or something that was completely toxic and unhealthy? That is not connection. That's escapism. So you're being affronted by your own fears. The High Priestess. Now, isn't this a nice card to get, considering the High Priestess over here? You have divine knowledge that can help others through your spiritual teaching. But it can also help you. So there are beautiful energies here, Pisces. The extended, if you would like to access it, is listed below. Have a wonderful mid-November. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the video, and I'll see you soon. Bye, Pisces.